Hello and welcome to the Video Game Dads podcast. This is episode 69.
Yay!
Nice.
69.
I was waiting for you guys to make a joke. I wasn't going to make a joke.
I don't even know what that means.
Why is that funny? Yeah.
Hey, so if it's your first time listening, we are a family-friendly, no promises there won't be adult content, but no need for earmuffs. We will not be cussing. And so you can listen to this with the littles around if you'd like to. We are the biggest independent video game dads podcast in America and the Virgin Islands. I don't know.
and minor outlying U.S. territories.
Yeah. And we still have those 4 listeners in Iceland who have yet to ever email
Bless
us.
Bless them.
But they're very consistent in their downloads, so thank you very much. But anyway, so thank you for joining us. We're 3 guys in a basement talking gaming, fatherhood, and everything between. We are your hosts. I am Ben.
I'm Adam.
I'm Sean.
Yeah, Michael couldn't join us for tonight, but we've got some great announcements. We've got a great show. I feel like one of those late night. We got a great show tonight, and it's like the third character in Mad Men or something like that. Like it's always a great show. But I mean, episode 69, we're pumping out a new one. First off, apologies. Episode 68. I have to say this. That was in the cooker for a while. If you noticed, it came out not too long ago. And we were talking about stuff that happened before the leaves changed color.
Yeah.
Short story is I got a kind of new gig outside of being a dad that took all my time. It was my turn to edit. And I tell you, it was like planning a trip to the dentist when you are first allowed to schedule yourself to go to the dentist. I just was putting it off.
Couple of years probably.
Yeah, I was like,
valid.
I was like one of those people who don't change your oil. I'm like,
It's okay. 6 months in dad years is like 3 minutes.
Yeah, but I mean, to be honest, like the editing takes a long time, and I wanted it to be good, and it just didn't have that much time, so I kind of underestimated that. But I'm make this episode a little bit more quaint, a little bit smaller, especially because we've got some news with a new convention in town that you can literally see us.
Yeah.
Coming up. All right, we will also get to our emails today. We'll do our Handheld Holla, of course, our video game book club, and talk about our Pop Hundo. We're going to keep that countdown going. And where can you email us, Adam, if you'd like to do so?
Videogamedads@yahoo.com.
Yes, very good. It took a second. And where can you tweet at us, Sean? He doesn't know.
It's a great question.
I don't
At
know.
Video Game
At
Dads?
Video Game Dads, you put that in. We like to put video game as one word. We've said both works, but we do video game as one.
I think there's a Video Game Dad Adam if you just want to call him out specifically for whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
There's one that's just a Video Game Dad Adam also. So
Oh, really? There's some random person?
just so if you want to isolate your internet hatred to a single dad.
I was like, don't put that. We don't
Well,
know
there's,
what he's
there's Video
talking
Game
about.
Dad Adam. That's me on Instagram.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
Instagram, not Twitter.
Yeah. That's my personal Instagram. Yeah. But you're welcome to try to find me. I don't ever use Instagram though. I don't get. I mean,
Go
this
ahead.
is,
Go
this
ahead.
Is, well,
go ahead. No,
sorry,
go.
old man rant.
No, go for it.
I don't understand Instagram. I don't understand why I need it.
It's no longer differentiated enough from Facebook. At one time it had a purpose. Now it really doesn't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's basically Facebook. And I don't even use Facebook that much anymore. But
I don't either.
But yeah, I just never have figured out why I need an Instagram.
You don't.
But I do have one only so I can follow other people. But you can find me on it.
Yeah. Here's something I've done recently, and I've done this like just for my own kind of mental health over the last few years. And I didn't realize it was like a thing or a movement, but like there's a book that came out recently that I checked out. It's called Digital Minimalism. As a podcast, it's funny because you have to like push your content. And I'm just now saying like, hey, everybody, turn off your social media and go back to flip phones.
You really should. Social
because
media
yeah, Gen Z is doing it right. Have you heard like how like Polaroid cameras and cameras where you turn in film into like CVS like an idiot like we used to do? That's like becoming the thing for Gen whatever it is, double Z at this point. What are they now? I don't know what these kids are.
I know I work
They're
with
apathetic,
Z's, and that's
what they are.
terrifying.
Oh, I know. But anyway, so like with all the nostalgia of long gone things that were before we were born, which if you think about it, the flip phones are not even the equivalent of 8 tracks. It's like the equivalent of like those tourney records that are like literally the wax cylinders. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just at that point
Yeah.
now. But anyway, no, I mean, seriously, like I have spent less time on social media. And this podcast, for those of you who don't know, we love you guys. We always want to, we're still going to check emails. We're going to do that. But like, we have realized like, hey, it's either we keep on top of our families and see you guys at shows where we're vending or something, but we don't try to like push too much content out at you. It's like we do that the last, like if we ever have like a last episode, we just like plug a Patreon and then just leave it. And then we realize that everybody leaves that going. You know, when you realize like you've been paying $5 a month for some service you didn't have. People like 10 years from now, I'm still paying for
We're on a Bobby Bonilla contract,
Video Game Dads or something like that. Yeah, but anyway,
it'll be like Columbia House.
Yeah.
You remember this will date how old I am. Did you ever get were you ever dumb enough to order some CDs from Columbia House Records?
No, I was not.
No, but I what did I do instead? They had like a
it was like 10 CDs
Disney
for 1 cent or whatever, and then you sign up for it. And then you get a freaking CD like every week or every month for the rest of your life. That they charge you full price for.
Yes,
and you can't cancel it. It's like so hard.
It's hard to cancel. You have to cancel it by mail.
Yeah, you have to drive to the president of the company's house.
You didn't know about this?
Protest.
No, this is a first. For
yeah.
me.
This was a common trap that teenagers from the 90s.
Was it like
early 90s
marketed via infomercial or like
it was like magazines and mailers.
Yeah.
Oh, geez.
And the mailers would look awesome because you get them in the mail and nothing was like it in the past.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you like Guns N' Roses?
And it would have like,
you like,
little tiny pictures of 200 albums, but they also did movies, and that's how I got my grandma to sign up for it once. Rest in peace, Grandma. You're okay with it at this point. And so I got her to sign up for it. And she got some VHSs, and of course she like didn't know what's. So she picked out a couple, like Sound of Music and stuff, and I picked out Die Hard with a Vengeance and stuff like that. We had that for a couple years, and what they do is they send random stuff. They also have the Disney Movie Club where they'll send you like, you can get all the Pixar movies, but after a while you're gonna get like Old Yeller and the computer wears
they'll
tennis
send you
shoes
things
and
that they think you will like or something like that. Yeah, and it's always like some bullcrap.
And it's anything that's in the shape of a VHS, obviously.
$29.99, and the CDs were always $25.
Oh yeah, they're like
$26.
$25.
You do have to quit, but it would be impossible back then. And then there's no red tape. There's no Twitter where you could complain. There's no social media. That is the one thing now. Like you can't get away with anything because like someone could just complain about it. But the other side of that coin is someone could complain about something and it'd be totally BS, and then you're kind of screwed. That's why I like our online presence right now, which is non-obtrusive.
You can find us if you want to.
Yeah.
The people who
we're
have found us did it on purpose.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. So we wanted to talk about a little special announcement. The Video Game Dads, we will be vending at a kind of new expo. This is a brand new one called All-in-One Gaming, and that's ALL, IN, and then literally the number one, All-in-One Gaming. This is the first year they've been planning this. We know some of the guys who've been kind of working on this for quite some
they're
time.
guys that have come to a lot of the other shows and video game swaps and all that stuff.
Yeah, and it will be coming up March 11th and March 12th. Is it in basically Kansas City, but specifically Olathe, Kansas, at the Ball Event Center, 21350 West, 151st Street in Olathe, Kansas. And we would love you guys to go because not only will we be vending there, we will be doing a panel on Sunday. So again, this is just kind of from their spiel. They're going to have knowledgeable, entertaining panels with the likes of Norm, the gaming historian.
Norm,
he's going to have a panel on Saturday. Things from esports to tabletop games. This is not going to be an exclusive kind of just video games. Of course, video games are going to have vendors and that kind of thing. An artist alley, tabletop, console, arcade rhythm games. The vendor hall. I don't know how big the vendor hall is. Do you guys know how many vendors are having?
I think it'll be fairly sizable. I mean, if it's been like the recent shows in Kansas City, it's going to be, I don't know, basketball court size or
I live in Olathe. I have no idea where that is. I'll figure it out. But the recent ones that we've gone to, kind of hosted by a similar group of people, have been in very sizable spaces.
Like I said, they probably, we could have filled a basketball court.
The past couple we've been to have had an excess of vendors, right? It always feels like
they're like out in the hallway, and the area where you come in and all that type of thing.
So, I'll check it out later online and see how big it is.
Yeah. So the other nice thing, they're really doing it well. They're going to have ASL interpreters for the panels on Saturday. Not our panel, but I just realized good because I'm so distractible. I will watch somebody signing what I say, and then I'm going to try to say the weirdest stuff to get them to do the weirdest stuff, or her, But anyway, what I'm getting at is it is all inclusive. Kids get in free. I'm sorry, I don't initially know what the cutoff is, but
10?
I think it's pretty generous. Yeah,
I want to say
like
10 and under or under 10. If you've got a 10-year-old kid, please don't hurt me.
Oh, no, that's, yeah, I know, right? Well, I mean, what are they going to do? Check the ID? What are
That's
we saying?
a great question.
I know, right? But anyway, kids, it sounds like what you said, 10 and under free. Hopefully that's it. Go to the website just to make sure. But they also will have $1,000 worth of prizes for the tabletop vendors, so or for the tabletop games. So definitely check that out. You can find them. You can get tickets online, or you can get tickets at the door. Yeah, and the website is All in One Gaming Expo. That's ALLINONE spelled. All in One Gaming Expo, all one word. .wixsite WIXSITE.com. And or you can Google it, go to Facebook, put All in One Gaming, check it out. But I want you guys to be there because we're going to have a panel. And if no one's there, be just like us recording this in our home. But we will be recording.
I require no audience.
Yeah, we will be recording.
I told my mom to come. That's cool, right? No, I'm just kidding.
No, you're not.
It's just
You're for
gonna be
real,
our
right?
moms.
You know?
It's just going to be us and our moms.
Just our moms being, we're so proud of you.
We're so proud of you. Look,
We don't know what a panel is, but we're proud of you.
Yeah, so we will be.
Are you still playing games?
We'll be there on Sunday, and we will do kind of like retro game recommendations. We'll probably we'll have some little giveaways, things like that, little surprises for anybody that shows up in person. Like anything, we're just always happy when one person listens to us on this little humble podcast. But if you could see us live and in person, we'd love to meet you guys. Knowing it's kind of short notice because this is literally March 11th and 12th. But I'm going to get this thing out the following day after we record this tonight. So you have a couple weeks to maybe, splurge, take a little road trip, take a little drive out here. And if you tell me you've arrived here from multiple states away, I will... Hurry, guys. Think of something I can say real quick.
Shake your hand. High five.
No,
fist bump.
big hug.
Big hug. Yeah. Uncomfortably long hug.
Okay, uncomfortably long hug. We're working on something.
Awkwardly long handshake.
Oh, yes. Okay, awkwardly long handshake.
But kind of like where you grab their thumb rather than interlocking
like a really
their thumb.
limpy kind of awkward.
Remember,
Very
we're trying to get
uncomfortable.
people to do this, like come from far away.
jeez.
Because if they just did that, most of the time us nerds are introverted. We generally don't like physical
Sorry, that's why I was
affection.
trying to think of something that we would do.
You'll give them some travel size deodorant.
Travel size shampoo and conditioner for the hotel room. Yeah.
All right, I can work with that. That's nice and stupid. I can work with that. We're going to get some travel-sized deodorant.
I've probably got a travel size sunscreen in the car right now.
I've actually thought about bringing travel size deodorant to, game shows, concerts.
No, you can't. We can't bite the hand that feeds us here. We can't. Okay, if you've ever been to a gaming expo, and everybody knows this, if you go in one in the summer, if you're in a
People
big,
get excited. They're a little sweaty.
If you get in a big room full of nerds, it gets a little.
gets
And
a
that's
little-
why
it gets a little
Kansas
swampy.
City knows
Yeah.
to have this in the winter. So we're thinking ahead. It's going to smell amazing. I already talked to the All-in-One guys. They told me they're going to push potpourri through all the little vents everywhere.
They're Febrezing it right
Yeah,
now.
definitely. Yeah. Our panel is also called AKA Musk and Rosebud.
Well, that's the sponsor for our panel. We didn't mention that.
Lavender is the sponsor for our panel.
Yeah.
Our panel is those little cones that you lift up that slowly wilt away and die that you used to have in your bathroom on top of your toilet.
What happened to those?
Luckily, they went away. They all died. They all
They dried up, pun intended.
They were all cut from one giant cone, and the one giant cone is no longer.
The great cone is dissipated.
Yeah. I love that. Every time I would see those in a room, I would just pull it up all the way because they're like, oh, lift the cone a little bit to have it like somewhat. I'm like, no, full blast.
Chaotic neutral. Just get it, lift it, go crazy.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man, I haven't thought about those scent cones in a long time.
Yeah, those scent cones. Have you ever touched one? Good luck getting that off your hands for 10 years. I remember that. I would
It's
touch
the same
it 'cause you
as
couldn't help it.
those sticky adhesive mouse traps. I swear it's the same material.
Oh,
man.
it probably is.
Yeah, that also came from the cone, probably
from the mother cone.
Yeah.
Do not eat.
Buried deep within the earth, the mother cone.
Yeah, the mother cone. We've traveled from far away.
Samus finally got to it and killed it, and that's why we don't have the cones anymore.
It probably was COVID. COVID killed the mother cone. Sorry.
No, it's way too soon for that.
Yeah,
Everybody
way too
knows
soon.
that.
Yeah, we'll edit
All right.
that.
Well, anyway, guys, check that out. Like I said, it's going to be March 11th and 12th. We'll put a little plug too right before the end of the show. But come out and see it. It's going to be fun, and it's the first one. So like you can say you were you're there. You never forget your first. Am I right, guys?
That's right.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Benjamin, what will our panel be about? Did you already say this and I wasn't listening?
I did, and you weren't listening, so I'm just going to leave that.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
Retro recommendations.
I know. I'm writing down a marked demerit right next to your
That's
name.
my third one, too.
No, it's fine. Retro gaming recommendation. That is our panel topic. So, guys, what do you say? We move on to our video game book club? That
Yeah,
sound
let's
good?
do
That
it.
sound good? That
Sounds
sound
great.
good? All right, let's do it. Time for our video game book club.
Renews it.
Use it. Open renews it a little or a lot.
It all depends on the odors you've got.
Renews it in the closet, open just a touch.
Renews it in the kitchen, open this much. Renews it in the bathroom, open wide.
Helps keep your house smelling fresh and clean inside.
Renews it.
Use it.
And we're priced right.
All right, our video game book club brought to you by Renews It. Renews It. Yeah, it was so funny. So we were talking about this earlier, and we get a call, like literally same time. Like the red phone goes off here in our podcast.
Yeah, the bad
and they're
phone.
like, I know you guys are like talking whatever about us, but we're still around. We are actually called Renews It. We're those cones. So what do you know? Renews It. And guys, if you haven't seen that commercial, stop what you're doing, pull over the car, look up Renews It commercial, because it is the smuttiest thing I've ever
It's
seen.
like really smutty.
Yeah, like literally they have animated things that pull up their cones, but they pull up their cones like literally like they're pulling up their clothes, and they pull from the middle. Like here's the thing, just watch it and you will know that whatever animator
Yeah,
put this together.
it's like if you ever watch The Office when Michael Scott's like got his finger through the fly of his pants.
Yes.
Yes.
I feel almost as violated as,
Yeah,
as that.
this
scene.
was definitely like those Disney animators that had fun and took their liberties in the day.
When they got fired for sneaking stuff into Disney movies, they went to,
They went to
Renews
Renews
It.
They went to Renews It,
Yeah.
and they were like, "Hey, I'm gonna one up this."
And then Renews It came to us, and that's why we don't need Patreon, because we have great sponsors.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Renews It.
Thank you very much. And remember that every time you buy Renews It, 1/10 of 1 cent goes to the Video Game Dads podcast. Thanks to you. 1/10 of 1 cent. And they sold what? I think 30 last year.
Yeah, I think so.
So that adds up. All right, guys. So the Video Game Book Club is brought to you by Renews It. I'll get over that. The Video Game Book Club is a little segment that we talk about anything in not the top 10, 15% of whatever library, and we talk about it much like a book club. So it can't be like a Zelda, Nintendo, something like that. Kind of like a hidden gem, a buried treasure, so to speak, of a game. Sometimes the dad picks one, sometimes the listeners pick one. We had a game called Incredible Crisis that's been in the hopper for a while that got chosen that we were going to talk about today. So Incredible Crisis. So if you would like to enter any of your games into a video game book club, it could be nostalgia filled. Just write a little spiel and email us at videogames@yahoo. Wait, what?
Videogamedads@yahoo.com.
Videogamedads@yahoo.com. I'm sorry, I had what's called a mild stroke, a TIA. I'm better now. Email us at videogamedads@yahoo.com for any video game book club submissions you might have. The only requirement is to put a little spiel about why you're throwing it in there, so we can include that if and when you get picked. All right, Incredible Crisis for the PS1. Adam, what do you got?
All right, so this is Incredible Crisis, and it is developed for the PlayStation by a developer called Polygon Magic, and it was released in Japan in June of 1999, and North America and Europe in November of 2000.
Dude, I didn't realize it was that late. I thought it was like a 98 game. Okay.
Yeah, so it was published in Japan by Tecmo, and it was published in the other territories by Titus
All right,
of
Titus.
Superman 64 fame.
Yeah, that little fox thing.
That explains something.
Yeah. Okay. Ooh, hey, don't show your cards yet, all right?
Yeah.
Come on, keep that lead buried.
So this game, I guess before we'll talk about how much it costs. A loose copy will run you about $30. A complete copy will run you $50 to $60.
That much now? Okay.
Yeah,
It's gone up.
more than what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's gone up a little bit. So, I mean, the cover's very interesting. Man's head kind
Yeah,
of
it's like a
into
redheaded, it's like a guy whose head is red colored and
Yes.
he has a volcano coming out of the top of it.
Yeah, and it makes no sense. Like, honestly, when it was picked, I didn't know anything about it. And I just thought, oh, great. It's 2023. I have to play a game called Incredible Crisis. And I'm like, I don't want to, we've had enough of those, right? When
Yeah,
you say
yeah, exactly.
we have one of those. If you have a child, you have one of those every other day.
Yeah, can we play a game called Normal?
Yeah, but then I found out it's more like Incredible Crisis, like how Europeans have to say, like it's incredible. It's incredible crisis. The crisis was so amazing. It's fantastic. So it's that kind of incredible, not like, oh, jeez. So,
No, but-
It's definitely early 2000s, late 90s Japanese Incredible.
oh yeah, it's
There's like a whole like glut of games around this time that's kind of got this vibe.
sure. Like name some.
Well,
Well, Parappa.
so
obviously.
I'll back up for a second. So this is a game.
Oh, yeah.
Let me describe it, I guess.
Yeah, good luck with that. I'm watching.
So it's like this. It's like the most outlandish, craziest narrative game where like all this stuff happens and it starts at like a grandma's house and
Yes,
then there's
grandma's
like
house, yeah.
and then there's like bombs involved
Oh,
and
yeah.
then there's like speedway chases. There's something in an elevator, but it's just like this slapsticky thing. But it's basically like all these mini games that are sort of like thrown together, and it's like. Am I describing this okay, Sean?
You're doing as good a job as I can.
But it's
contrive.
like these disjointed sort of
It's polygon graphics, so
yeah,
like
it's polygonal graphics.
while you were describing it, I realized they missed an opportunity to not have this FMV. Can you imagine if this is an FMV
this is
game?
FMV.
That would have been
Oh,
incredible.
man.
They, yeah,
But yeah, so it's like this really crazy, wacky narrative, but it's all separated just to get you. It's a narrative that's made to get you to the next mini game they thought of.
Yeah.
That's basically what I think happened here.
yeah.
And that's what makes it unique, right, or interesting, is that instead of, when I think of collections of mini games now,
Yeah, it's a
they-
wacky mini game collection.
Yeah, this one.
WiiWare things that
It's-
were like 6
Yeah,
years later.
yeah.
Do you care if I jump into my experiences with this game?
No, go right on ahead.
This game, when you start playing it and it tells the story of trying to get home in time for grandma's birthday celebration, very important, and you take this very seriously. And initially, when I'm playing it and I'm looking at the graphics and thinking, oh, this looks nice. It's a late PS1 game that looks decent enough. The soundtrack's very catchy. I didn't
Yeah,
do any
it's-
prior research.
Yeah, it's ska music. It's like some Japanese ska
Yeah.
band did the whole soundtrack.
A real popular
yeah,
band,
like
it
a
turns out.
popular
Yeah.
band. Yeah.
Did the sound, and you can tell it's a high, like, even if I don't like the music and I don't know what's going on, you can tell it's very professionally done, not just by video game, but not just by some lazy composers. And so when the first game happens, and I think it's me in the elevator trying to tap the elevator
Yeah.
brake button and avoid the saves and things, like trying to fall on my head. And so I'm playing this game and I was like, this is ridiculous. When do I actually start? I thought that was not really part of the game. Like, I thought eventually it was gonna be like an adventure game or something.
You're
And
like, when does the game start?
I was exactly doing that, and I was getting so mad because I couldn't even just get through the stupid elevator. I was like, just let me get home and get to grandma. So I play that, I get really mad, can't do anything, and then I look it up online. And I was like, this is the whole game. But
Yeah.
what makes it special is that it really is the mini games are tied into a narrative where you're playing as dad, and then you're playing as mom, and then you're playing as whatever. But it's like it's telling a story, and it almost fits the FMV genre is a really good way to describe it, because it's like you are trying to just tap buttons at the right time to get through a story.
Yeah, this obviously is the brainchild of the Eastern video game culture, which
Very
is
much so.
the weirder the better. And some things came out like where you have a game like D, where it's like really outside of the box and psychological, and then you have other games that are like, let's just make this like rapping dog and make everybody in 2D and him hop it. And some things stick. Some things get really popular. Of course, nowadays kids don't know what Parappa the Rapper is, and kids aren't perfect. Kids are stupid. You should know about what the heck that is. Parappa the Rapper is amazing, but also it's so hard to play, and that's what I will segue into right now. So I thought, oh, great, I have a PS3, it's backwards compatible. And then I realized, oh, this is a game that involves timing. You can't do that. That's a big asterisk with, like a Busted Groove. You can't play, there's a delay, even if you play on something
Yeah, if you're playing
emulated.
on a modern...
Yeah.
Even if you're playing on a real PlayStation hardware, if you're on a modern display, there's going to be lag.
Yeah,
You
and
can't get- you
PS3
can't get around it.
there's lag inherent, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So luckily I was able to do. You remember those Xbox we talked about in
Mm-hmm.
like the first 10 episodes. Luckily, our Xbox that was modded by that wonderful guy you can go back and listen to. I forget his name, but we shouted him out back in the day. Who knows? He's probably graduated college. Like he was a young kid at the time. But anyway, it was on there. It was on that game list, so I was able to play it. But like now, if the Wii never came out, or if WarioWare never came out, this I think would be held in higher regard. Like, be in the maybe top 200 video games all time influential or something like that, because it is so bizarre. And it could be a precursor to, kind of a popcorn movie of a video game that just is bizarre to look at. But then Katamari Damacy came out, and a couple other games that took weird to another level.
Yeah,
that's a little more artistic.
Even within PlayStation 1, there were several games that were kind of like one of my favorite games in this glut is a game called Irritating Stick. You guys ever played that? It's like you guide a stick through a maze.
Yeah.
And it's super irritating.
Yep.
That's the game.
Yeah. It's the music is great. It is not a very long game. I didn't play through it completely because I couldn't. Do you know the running time of this thing? How long it was?
I think, what is it, 24 mini games, 20 mini games, or something like that?
Repeated.
There was
I obviously didn't get to all of them, but
and then it's divided into sort of I guess you'd call it narrative scenarios. So it doesn't really feel even like 24. But no, I couldn't last long enough to tell you how long this game is.
Okay, it is obviously a one-player game. A little Easter egg though, if you have 2 players, the 2-player has kind of a weird can mess you up not what's that?
I did not know that.
Yeah, like Super Mario Odyssey, you can hit buttons on the second controller. It doesn't even mention this at all, and it'll change the shape and voices and add sound effects of your player. So randomly, your polygonal figure will get shrunk and get small, kind of like you're playing with the Mario face at the beginning of Mario 64.
That's awesome.
So that's kind of cool, and that's they were like, oh, let's add this weird thing, and I'm like, that's cool. That's very cool. They were thinking ahead. So if you were playing with a kid, I didn't have a chance to have my son do it, but that would have been hilarious to him. So if you do randomly play this and you got a young kid that likes to mess around, hit buttons and have something happen, but you don't want to give him a real controller because you want to actually play the game. So if they're old enough, I would say that they can't do a dummy controller where they realize hey, this isn't plugged in. I'm not doing anything. You can give them this game, the second controller, and they can literally change things on the screen in a silly, dumb way, which adding sound effects and moving around and the warping around the shapes of everybody. So that's kind of neat.
I'm really glad you said that. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
that's
I know. That really makes the game. That adds a baby bottle right there.
Oh, at least a half a baby bottle.
Yeah. I don't know what else we could say about this game. It was an incredible crisis diverted, I guess.
Unfortunately, right? I think the only way, it's just one of those games that's so hard to describe that you either have to go play it or at least watch video footage of it at a minimum to try to experience it.
Yeah, it's odd as heck. I don't want to knock it. I kind of wish if you did submit this. Do I have that down here?
I might have the name written down. Give me a second.
Well, either way, if you did submit it, feel free to send us an email. I always like when you give us a follow-up and say, hey, no, I love this game, or you didn't see it this part when I do this. So, feel free to defend it. We're not hating on it, but it's super weird. I'm not going to play it again, but, I don't watch every Tarantino movie twice. I appreciate for the time I played with it. Is that a good way of saying it?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, if you play it too much, you'll go blind.
All right, baby bottles. What are we at here? I'll go with Sean.
Dan from 2 years ago, if you're listening to this, I don't mean any offense. I'm going to say 2.5 because it did look and sound really nice. It kind of had a late PS1 polish to it, and I appreciated the wackiness. I just couldn't get anywhere. I couldn't accomplish anything.
2.5? All right, what do you say?
2 3/4.
That's not a thing. Oh, no, maybe we
Well,
did.
the extra quarter is from the second player controller knowledge.
Well, I feel
How about we do
3
2.5, but it's not lukewarm?
Okay, all right. Let's go 2.5.
Nice.
Honestly,
It's a little cold.
Honestly, the biggest issue that I have with the game, just in general, I should have mentioned this before, is that obviously it's a narrative that's broken into these these crazy mini games. It honestly feels like it belongs on the DS to me because
good call. Yeah,
there's a series of really wacky Japanese games on the DS that are very in the vein of this kind of thing, but they're a little bit more intuitive because you have got a touch screen.
Dude, yeah.
And maybe being able to tap on a touch screen would have been.
The thing that really hurts this game, if a single thing that hurts it, isn't necessarily the goofiness of the mini games or any of this kind of stuff. It's the frustration that comes from not having what you're supposed to do explained to you before the mini game.
Oh yeah,
if that makes sense.
And then good luck saving. Yeah.
And maybe that's one of the, they made it that way to make it last a little bit longer, so you'd have to figure out the game. But like if you're playing Mario Party, there's goofy mini games, but there's there's a brief thing that at least says, here's what you're supposed to do, or even you might be able to practice it before you actually play it, kind of thing.
Yep.
But there's two things that's lacking. One is instructions. The second is this would be a much more engaging game if it was a multiplayer game and you were able to play said mini games against a partner, just like in a Mario Party type scenario.
Just a split screen or what have you.
That's what I'm saying. So it's good for what it is, being, I guess, a single player, if you can deal with the frustration of having to like maybe look at the internet or just fail a bunch of times where you figure out what to do. But to me, mini games really thrive in one of two ways. Either you're trying to beat your own personal scores, which is kind of what this is sort of doing, or you play against someone, or in a really good game, you kind of have the option of either one of those two scenarios. You're playing against yourself or someone else, and maybe they could have developed that latter thing more in this game.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to say 2.5. I give it that extra half, so I'll go 3 baby bottles out of 5 for an aggregate score of 2.75 for Incredible Crisis.
It's incredible.
An incredible game, and if you're someone that in a state where you can have a gummy or something, you know what I'm saying. A gummy bear for the kids listening, or whatever. If that, try the game out after that. I do agree. If it was a $5 DS game or something like that, that sounds perfect. If it was like a downloadable game, that is something I didn't even think of that would make this game kind of worth playing. But otherwise, if you don't have nostalgia for it, check out some video of it. It's super bizarre, super weird. Super glad it was thrown in our video game book club pick. And thank you so much for that submission. All right, moving on. All right, moving on to emails. We're going to get to a couple emails. All right, well, first one is from Jordan. He says, hey, guys, always a treat to see you guys dropping a new episode. I've been picking it up all along the way. He forgot to send some. He sent us some of his Pop Hundo, so we're going to read a couple of his picks. And he says, yes, I am 40. And that's another thing that happened to me, I guess I could say, too.
Oh, welcome to the club, bro.
I just hit the 4-0 club, and, I got my medal. My son and I share a birthday for those who aren't long-time listeners.
Growing?
Yep. Well, I was about to do a segue, but I will say this. I did have my first urology appointment about 4 months ago.
The look on your face after I had him ask that, I was like, oh no, he struck a chord.
Yeah, you did struck a chord. Yeah. Someone did find something, because it does. It's kind of like if you hit a chord on an organ or something, it kind of gives you yeah. But I will say that finally happened. I don't want to. Any innuendo I have for this episode. Anyway, so listen, when you turn 40, and when you're a guy and you go to the doctor, something has to happen. But, women have to go to the mammogram and have their mammaries kind of smashed. So, we're taking one for the team. And I'll say I was glad to get it out of the way. It's like a Band-Aid, too, when you think about it. And the guy did it. He was good. He distracted me. He said, hey, look up here, look up here, look up here. I'm just kidding. All right, I'm going to get back to the email.
When he said distracted you, I thought you were going to say he gave you a lollipop or like a dum-dum or something.
He was doing like shadow animals on the wall.
Yeah, he had to distract you. Well, first he's like, and honestly, it's just one from the other. First, it's like, all right, the front, make sure the coin purse is all right. And then all of a sudden it is. It's like, here, look at the, it's like if you're ever shot in the leg, they break your finger. So he stepped on my foot and then I'm just kidding. All right. So I didn't even know what happened. It was fine. All right, moving on to this email. Let's get back to it. He says, yes, I'm 40. So, Jordan, tell us about your email. The next email I want from you is a detailed description of the next time you have to visit a urologist. I'm just kidding. He says, your recall of Tecmo NBA players was amazing and made me feel seen. I think this whole level of complexity to the game that totally escaped me, of never calling plays on the fly. Of course, when he was an 8-year-old, he had a great time putting his Pop Hundo together. So suggested he does a little exercise for everyone. So he put down a game list. He wrote cute little anecdotes for all his picks, but I'll just say what his picks were. He was at 80 with Star Ocean. 79, he had 1080 snowboarding. Oh, yeah.
That's a good one. That's a good pick.
He picked Overcooked 2 for the Switch. I've heard good things about that.
Yeah, that's good.
Also, Gauntlet 2 for the NES.
Oh, that's a good pick.
Oh, you like that?
Actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
I was never into the Gauntlet. I don't like that perspective.
I didn't play the NES Gauntlet, but the later ones are a lot of fun to play with people.
Same. I prefer the later.
He got Panzer Dragons for the Saturn or the Switch remaster. Double Dragon for the NES. Street Fighter 2 New Challenge. Bad Dudes Arcade.
I'm glad he specified arcade at least.
Yeah, Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle Switch. Is that the other Mario Rabbids game? Or
Yeah,
the first
that's
one?
That's the first one.
That's the first one, and the second one. Those are really good games, actually.
Yeah. XCOM beats Tactical Combination. Very interesting. Oh, and then another Street Fighter. So yeah, Street Fighter 2 Alpha. I like that. You know, we don't talk a lot about fighters on this. I know probably Adam is our designated fighter person. I just mash buttons for the most part. I like Tekken vs Street Fighter. I'll play some every once in a while, but I'm not great at them, and my hands start cramping. And that's only getting worse with
I'm
age,
the worst fighter player of all time, hands down.
But thank you for those submissions, Jordan, a longtime listener. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, and we're going to have our Pop Hundo where we're counting down our current favorite games. We invite you to do the same thing. You kind of count down from 100 to 1. It might feel hard to pick 100 games, but you can pick it, Tiger Handheld. We already talked about Drug Wars. You pick it from anything. It's your own top 100. We do say, like, if you pick a collection, you know that we're going to get a side eye. You can pick whatever you want, but it is a little harder to pick, like, a game out. Like, can't pick Mario All-Stars. You got to pick Mario 2. And you don't really. I'm just saying it makes it a little more fun because it kind of, twists the arm a little bit to get you to really make that decision. Next one, Steve. Steve from Minnesota, longtime listener. He sends an email. This is funny. I want to get your guys' take on it. Since the Amico is unofficially done, as he puts in quotes, do you guys think that the games that Intellivision released for the console to raise money will be a hot collector's item? Those physical, non-physical games that came out for the Amico. He says, tough question to predict for demand for a newer never was product. He just wanted to hear the thoughts of fellow collectors and vendors. Yeah, I guess we are vendors, such as yourselves. So yeah, that's the boxed collector's edition bundles that Amico sold and I guess was still selling. I don't know if they're still selling.
Yeah, I guess I had the opportunity to get those because I had pre-ordered the whatever Founders Edition or something
with
of this
Shane,
thing.
Yeah, back in the day.
Yeah, back whenever. My guess right now is going to be to say that they're not really going to be collectible.
Okay.
But that's with like an asterisk next to it. They're not going to be broadly collectible. Now, you're going to be able to find people who really enjoy collecting very, very odd things that have a story behind them.
Yeah.
Yes. But I think the only people that even knew about the Amico are already just such a small community of people who are really into this that
it'll get more obscure with time. If it isn't already.
It's just going to be so obscure. This is going to be like people who collect for the FM Towns Marty
But that at least came out,
Well, yeah, I mean, at least there's a game to collect for that. But I just think this is going to be so obscure and so like.
So what they are, for those that don't know, it's a boxed physical copy of basically an NFC chip card, basically that you put on your console to unlock something, much like you do with your credit card reader or something, or those Disney Infinity toys, where it's just kind of unlocks it. But it would unlock the game. And you also got like a little coin in them too, and they were boxed, and there was like 10 or 12 games. So it came out in a cute little thing. You can find little videos of it, but
yeah, I just don't think Amico's a big enough brand that people are going to care.
Yeah, I'm enough of I think because collectors, and this is the downfall, and I was kind of one of them. I'm getting kind of out of it. You'll collect things that you will never play, with the idea that maybe you will play it. But so many collectors collect things that they don't play. That this is exactly what that is. This is something that you'll never play. So it's kind of no different than some games that you collect that you don't play. So I just think it's a little more obvious, it's
really
like you saying like, oh, I'm having a drink versus like I'm having a cocktail and it's just one. It's like,
really
you're buying a six-pack when you're doing this. There's no denying the alcoholism.
Yeah, but I mean, really obscure things that are attached to a brand that people really like to collect for or recognize, I think are worth a lot of money. Yeah. Like promo stuff for some Zelda thing back in the 80s.
Oh, sure. Nintendo people are going to Nintendo.
But there's just no collecting base for Intellivision that's really... I mean, there are people that collect Intellivision, but it is not a large enough group of people that collect Intellivision to drive the price of Intellivision up. And that's for the actual version of the thing that actually came out.
Right.
So I just don't see how there's going to be enough people who are going to be that interested in this to make it worthwhile.
Probably will have a negative connotation around it to some degree also, even in the collector market.
Yeah, maybe.
I
I might
mean-
make for interesting internet videos at some point.
I would think he would do it. I think it would be awesome if I had that and it was like signed by Tommy Tallarico.
Oh yeah, good luck.
I know. Well, yeah, I don't know.
Maybe there is one of those.
Well, no, I'm saying like if I find him or you seek it out, if he's ever around again, because he does video game stuff. He was a collector, but like because there was so much drama behind it, I actually would want that. Just like I wanted a graded copy of NSYNC, Get 'em to the Stage for GBA, and that was like a thing that you can buy. Like, yeah, I want that to be my graded stupid copy in a case.
That's
Because,
your
like,
holy grail. Right
yeah,
there.
exactly.
It
Because
is.
I just think that's so stupid that
You're like the
having
king
that.
of obscurity. Like you drive up in your DeLorean, and then
Yeah, no, mine is not a DeLorean. Mine is like I turned my DeLorean into the Western version where they do like in
the big wheels.
3. Yeah, the
Yeah.
big 3. The one that's not attractive, or just the train. How about this? I get like a train. I get the one that derailed that I was in last episode, and I put an auction bid on it, and I like show up at a convention, and be like, hey, this is like I did it up like the train from Back to the Future 3. That's what this is. This is obscure of the obscure, and no one wants it. But a couple people will like want to take a picture with it. I think.
I just don't think it's enough to make the price of it go up.
No,
that kind
and
of
I
stuff,
feel like they're gonna find. They had to have made these, and then a big thing with the push of the Intellivision was, hey, how much money can it make? So everything they were doing was trying to kind of get more money to invest in this console that they were, I think, at one time hoping would come out. So there could be a lot of pallets of these games that we've yet to see that we'll continue to see for years. Like, if that happened to the Virtual Boy 20 years later.
Yeah, they'll just start showing up on eBay.
Yeah.
At some point.
Yeah. If they're not already destroyed, you find them in landfills. Norm will probably do a video on them eventually, right?
Yeah.
Oh, man. All right. Well, all right. Moving on. Donna. It's time for Jaws 22. That's right. It's time for Grayson's Game Shark.
Yeah. Hey, bub.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good.
Long time no see. You've been out to sea for quite some time, but I'm glad you paddled your way back to talk about some video games. What have you been playing, Grayson?
I've been playing the Lego Harry Potter games.
What are you playing? Years 1 to 3, 4 to 6? Do you know?
I'm just playing by myself.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. No, that's good.
Yeah, the games are split.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
that.
do you remember which one?
Do you remember what it was called? It's just Lego Harry Potter.
Harry Potter.
Lego Harry Potter.
Yeah.
So it's probably just the dual pack, right? I assume.
Yeah,
I bet you're
I
on
think
one.
it actually is the double
So
pack,
for
yeah.
those playing at home, they did make 2 games of this, and they put 3 movies together, and then the other 3 movies together. I know they redid the Lego Star Wars, but they haven't redone the Lego like Harry Potter. I'm sure they will do that.
I'm
in
sure they
some
will at some point,
big old
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
But anyway, so are you liking it?
Yes.
So who's your favorite character to play as?
Probably like Ron, because he has like one ability that the other 2 don't, and that is like his mouse scabbers.
Oh.
Oh, and that's the redhead. Ron's redheaded,
yeah,
right?
Ron Weasley.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, I know things about Harry
Yeah.
Potter. My wife's into it. I'm not. I just know.
I don't know anything other than what I've learned at theme parks.
We're such muggles, am I right?
Yeah.
Let's
Well, in
ask.
America, we call them no mages, Benjamin.
Oh, okay.
It's very important.
I just know they break a stick at the end, and guy with no nose gets really weird and makes a big fight, and then the blonde guy who's mean is kind of nicer, and then the guy from Die Hard also dies.
Yeah,
He always
that's
dies.
true.
Every movie.
I wish everybody could see the face Grayson just made.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you talking about? You
Did
will
you-
know when you listen to this again in 10
Yeah,
years. You're gonna laugh out
he
loud.
hasn't seen Die Hard yet.
You break
Yeah.
a stick at the
Yeah.
end. That's my favorite part
It's
of your
like-
review.
It's like
Yeah.
Was it Alan Rickman? Is that his name?
Yes.
Alan Rickman. Yeah, yeah.
Rickman. Yeah, it's like every contract is like I have to die.
Yeah.
I have to die in the movie. I probably should make that joke since he actually did.
I know. And Galaxy
I was actually
Quest.
really sad when that happened too.
Yeah, yeah.
but he was older than he looked, right? Like,
Yeah,
obviously
he was.
it's
I
sad
think
he
was,
died,
yeah,
but
I
he
think was
wasn't
in his 70s or
young.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But still not. I remember when I heard that thinking like, oh, he actually was in quite a few movies, and I always like him in every movie that he's in.
All right, Grayson, you heard this podcast is Video Game Dads, not Video Game Sons. Just kidding. We're taking over here. So you like the game? Have you beaten it yet, or do you know how far you're in?
I'm still like on the first year, I think.
Okay, not yet to the Half-Blood Prince. Have you met the guy that's really tall and like big with a big beard?
Hagrid?
Yes, Hagrid. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you met him yet and everything?
Yes.
Okay, cool. And have you ridden a griffin or anything like that yet? I'm giving you all my know-how all in one.
You
No.
you rode Hagrid's ride.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Both
where
of
was
them.
both of them? Where was that at?
Universal Studios, Orlando, Florida.
nice. I like how you gave the whole thing.
We're not getting paid promotional bucks. Yeah.
Universal Studios. I've heard wonderful things. My wife has gone to the Harry Potter thing. Like right when we were first dating, she went on a girls' trip there. It sounds hilarious because like now that we're married and have kids, that's like pipe dream. But we'll go back once they do. So how did you like it? Did you do the whole get your little cup of fake? What do they call it? The
Butterbeer?
Butterbeer. Did you get some butterbeer?
Yeah.
Oh, so how'd you like it?
It's non-alcoholic for the
I know.
listeners.
Yes.
I really liked it.
Did you? Okay. I know. That's Universal Germany that they allow.
Universal Germany's full octane.
Yeah, I think it's like 10 years old and you can drink. But drink and drive, it's like 15, I think.
10 years old and you have to drink.
Yeah.
Yes.
Get in the car. Sorry, that's Austrian.
Drink it.
Yeah. This is fantastic. Take me home, son. All right, sorry. It's been a while since we gotten together there. Yeah, so you went on Universal and you rode the Hagrid's ride. What else did you do at Universal?
Oh, we did like the interactive Harry Potter wand things.
Oh, yeah. So you got your own wand.
Yeah, I got Harry's. My sister Indy got Hermione's.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so it's like where they make it, right? And they go to this little craft shop.
You wouldn't believe how much a Harry Potter wand
I've heard about it.
Sets Dad back.
I've heard about it, but I also heard it's like an experience thing. It's not like they give him a stick.
You're buying an experience more than you're buying a stick.
Well, and you get to use it all over the park too.
That's right. And it truly has magical powers.
Okay, so
it does.
Is this stick 2 numbers or 3 numbers? I actually don't know.
It's 2 numbers,
okay.
but 2
It's a
together
big
makes
2.
3 numbers.
Okay, okay. Well, like, honestly, for everything that you're spending when you go down there, I honestly wouldn't have been surprised if you said 3. So if it's 2 numbers, then that's great.
It's not far from 3.
Well, if you go back, you could bring the same wand back and everything, right? So theoretically, you don't get to have the original experience again, but you can still go around the park and do the other things.
It's like when I was a kid and we used to go to the same pizza store and you got free refills if you brought your cups from last time. You ever do that when you were
exact same scenario?
Yeah, but they change the color. But also, how can you imagine a kid not breaking this thing, bringing it back through checked luggage and everything
We actually
else?
broke one while we were there.
Yeah, of course you did.
Yeah.
Oh, did they replace it?
After a discussion I had with a wonderful shop owner.
Oh boy,
in Harry Potterville, yes,
with Mr. Ollivander himself.
With Mr. Ollivander himself.
I think it's like Disney Universal. If you complain enough, they have to be like, okay, be kind, rewind.
Exactly. I'm like, look,
you're not going to pay the rental fee. Yeah.
Do you really want a crying child in your park?
Yeah. So awesome. So
I'll take pictures of her crying here. I'll post it everywhere.
So the Lego games are awesome. You played through all those. You played through Indiana Jones Lego as well? Not yet?
No.
Okay.
We've done Star Wars. What have you done? Marvel, Star Wars,
Incredibles?
Incredibles.
Harry Potter.
Marvel?
I think I've done Batman.
You've done some of Batman. I don't think you've beaten it though.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I
and
haven't
there's still the Batman villains when you haven't done, and you've done Lego Marvel 1. I don't think you've done Lego Marvel 2.
Okay. Lego Ninjago?
I have done that.
Okay. Lord of the Rings? Lego Lord of the Rings? Lego Hobbit?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, my son's getting into Lego, and it's so fun. He's just putting together little basic small sets, but we just put together an Eternal set, which is funny. That movie wasn't so popular, but like the figures from it were pretty cool. So we just put those together, and he loves putting together Lego. He gets all like excited. So we're at that step. Lego's awesome. All right, Grayson. Well, that's great. So are you going to play anything next? Do you have anything on tap that we can ask you about at your next Game Shark?
No.
You probably ought to think about getting that new Harry Potter game.
Yeah, I was thinking about getting that.
What do you think?
Hogwarts Legacy? Yeah.
Okay. And is that a free-to-play Or what is that?
No, I think it's like a full AAA, isn't it?
Yeah, I think $60 and $70 versions.
Yeah.
Why do I think that felt like an online game the way they were advertising it? Is it like online as well, or is it just a single player? Just
single player at
Okay.
this time. It sounds like it's going to get the Rockstar GTA 5 treatment potentially
Yeah.
at some point, but not right now at least.
Okay, it sounds like Disney Infinity, Hogwarts Legacy. It sounds like they're going to pump this thing out, spend a lot at the beginning, get you to.
I think so, and it's been very successful so far, so I'm sure they will.
Okay, cool. All right, Grayson.
See you later, buddy.
Thanks for coming.
Grayson.
Bye.
Stay in the deep end.
Okay.
I don't know what that means. All right, it's that time for our
Handheld
Yeah! So, Handheld Holla is a segment where we give a little shout out, a little love to the handheld consoles out there. You know them as the Game Boy, the Game Gear, the Atari Lynx, technically the Nintendo Switch,
The TI-89
if you nest it,
calculator.
the T89 calculator,
Drug Wars, yeah, absolutely.
any of the Game Boys, any of the PSPs, Vitas. These are handheld systems that are still systems, and they are amazing. And if you don't have a collection, you're a new parent or something, don't forget, like, hey, you can't get a video game console. Let's say you live in Tokyo and you don't have much room, or, the better half is like, we're not getting a console right now. We have a new you can get a handheld. You could talk anybody into getting a handheld with a great library. And they're usually cheap, inexpensive. So we shout out. We have a whole segment to this, guys, and it's called our Handheld Holla, and we're going to talk about games. And let's go through the list. Let's go. I'm going to go Sean.
I'm ready.
All right, let's go, Sean.
Let's do this.
All right, what is your Handheld Holla pick for this episode 69? Is it rated M for mature?
No, but I mean, I guess there's graphic content, but not of that variety.
Okay.
It's WWE SmackDown versus Raw, and I've been playing the 08 variety
I was
specifically.
going to say you got to pick a year because that's a broad list there. 08.
08 specifically, and first of all, it's because I have like 2 on the PSP. This one is the one where they have a couple of the ECW characters. It's got the
cool.
ECW branding right on the front.
That's cool.
I don't think in the community that it's renowned as like a good wrestling game or even the best that like you can have on the PSP.
Yeah.
But when I bought it initially for $2 at a garage sale, it's because like I saw ECW and it just hit me right in nostalgia.
So to be in the wrestling community for PSP video games, do you have to have a tattoo on your calf?
Oh, I forgot mine, so I
Okay.
guess not.
All right.
And
That's a deep cut. I hope someone in Venezuela laughed at that. That was a decent joke. What do you think, Adam? If Adam doesn't give me,
No,
I
I-
don't even know what you're talking about.
No, I don't
well,
either.
I was trying to. I don't know. I'm a wrestling fan. I was trying to give like a random hey, if you have a tattoo on your calf, good for you. You can pull it off. I can't. But that's initially what I thought of when you said someone from the wrestling community is going to get mad at you. I just pictured someone
Do you
with
know
a
what would
tattoo
be
on their
cool
calf.
is for a tattoo on your calf?
Go ahead.
Like a calf on your calf that has a tattoo.
or like a,
That's
or like,
what I would get.
or like a really buff bull on your calf is like it's not a calf, it's a bull or some bad pun like that.
Yeah, it would be a tattoo of a calf on your calf that has a tattoo on it, and it would be like that one on Steve-O's back where it says your name.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
if you don't already have attention deficit disorder, we're going to give it to you. I'm so sorry. Sean, go back to your recommendation of this wrestling game and forget I threw you off the tracks there. Go ahead. Talk about, you said SmackDown vs. Raw 08.
I think the wrestling community likes 06 better for quality. I like 08 just because of the ECW.
That's
and
awesome.
There's something about the PSP versions that remind me of like just the one joystick. And I know it's a terrible comparison because they're not at all alike, but it reminds me of playing a wonky one joystick N64
Oh, cool.
wrestling game. You
Yeah.
know, it like hits a weird nostalgia chord for me. And so I burned through a little bit of like, I think I have 08 and 09 and kept going back to 08 and picking PSP exclusive character Sergeant Slaughter.
Oh yeah,
And
Sergeant
then-
Slaughter, man.
And then Matt Hardy was on there, and if I'm not mistaken, he wasn't on many games in that time,
Cool.
or anything like that. So yeah, I've been in a wrestling mode.
I actually watched the Super Mario Super. I'm so lame, but I watched the Super Mario Super Show with my kids not long ago. And Sergeant Slaughter's on some episodes,
Like the
Yes.
early
Yeah.
1990s,
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
he got one of them has like like Mario has like big kind of bushy
Yeah, yeah,
curly hair
yeah.
and a mustache, and then
Yeah, it kind of looks like Ron Jeremy.
yeah, he
Yeah,
does a little bit. That's a
And for
good
those of you who
tie-in
don't
for this
know,
episode.
Ron-
I feel like
Yeah, for the kids that don't know, Ron Jeremy is a famous
Kind of look like Mario.
art-
Plumber.
Yeah, that was also an author.
He probably was a plumber in several of his shows, actually.
He has portrayed a plumber on
Yeah, I'm
numerous
sure
occasions.
he's portrayed a plumber.
Hey, you guys know. You clicked on episode 69. The video game dads are going to roll up our socks on this one. Okay, how much is it real quick, Sean?
It's less than $10 complete.
Awesome. All right, Adam, what's your pick?
All right, mine is a cheater pick, the Metroid Prime remaster.
Awesome.
And
yeah.
it's really fun. It's really good. I mean, it hasn't showed up on my list yet. Metroid Prime is one of my favorite games, and I play through it at least once a year. This actually is the second time I'm playing through it in like 4 months, probably. But
first time was on your deck, right?
Which also randomly was like rare and hard to find for like 48 hours, and everybody went crazy. And all I was
they're printing. Yeah, people were.
Dude, you guys are ridiculous.
Yeah, people
Just
were spending way too much money on them. But no, Nintendo's already announced they're printing more copies. But,
Excellent.
But I know everybody hates like remasters, re-releases. Like, hey, Nintendo, do something new. But it's like they did with Wind Waker HD and everything. It's they went all the way back through the game. They redid a lot of stuff. They added textures. The game looks really good. Even like the visor, the way the visors are and stuff, everything looks different. Like they really did go through and retool the game.
Awesome.
And so all the textures are upgraded.
I heard that, yeah.
A lot of the textures are new. It's 1080 or whatever. It just looks modernized, and so but it still has the guts and the engine and everything are all still there, and it still plays awesome, still looks great.
$39.99.
I think it's $39.99. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. For my handheld Holla pick, I'm going to move over to the PlayStation Portable. So we have another PlayStation Portable game. This game is Deadhead Fred. Have you heard of this one?
I'm not familiar.
I've heard of Drop Dead Fred.
Yeah, I've Drop Dead Fred. So Deadhead Fred, you've probably seen this before. This is normally a very inexpensive title you can get for $10 or less. I think they printed a lot of this. This is a pretty much PSP exclusive. If you've seen the cover, it kind of reminds you of that game that was for PS3 where there was a zombie game set in the 50s that you go around and like
Stubbs?
Yeah,
No.
like Stubbs the Zombie. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
okay.
right. So it is kind of like a horror comedy game where you are in a 1940s like noir, and it's not set up realistic. It kind of looks like Tim Burton-y a little bit, and you are a detective that was beheaded and murdered. Lightheartedly. It's not
Just like a Tim Burton movie.
Yeah, it's like rated T for teen. It's not like gory or anything, but you are discovering the mystery to your death by like going back, and you can put other heads on top of you, and you're just like a brain, and you come back to life, and you're trying to figure out the mystery of how you were killed and who you were killed. And this kind of horror comedy mystery game plays really simple. I think the knock on it, why you never hear about it, is the controls are really simplistic. Combat is very like simple. It's not a deep game. There's not a lot of depth, but it is perfect for a bite-sized portable experience of a action adventure game. Very simple, pick up and play. Levels are pretty easy to beat. It's funny. It's random. It's got kind of a Psychonauts meets B-movie vibe to it. Writing isn't as amazing as Psychonauts, but it's very good, and it's a cheap game that I think a lot of people maybe see the cover and think, it's common, I'm gonna pass it up. I finally gave it a shot, and it's great. So great handheld Holla pick. Again, this is Deadhead Fred. I think it was available digitally on the Vita as well. But anyway, fun if that sounds like it's up your alley. So we have SmackDown versus Raw 2008, having Sergeant Slaughter as a PSP character. I mean, look, you are learning things every episode, guys, especially
Sergeant Slaughter is worth half a baby bottle by himself. Absolutely.
Yeah, but we don't rate these. These are all 5. And then we also have Metroid Prime Remastered on the Switch.
Yeah.
And then Deadhead Fred, not to be confused with Drop Dead Fred, which is an amazing movie. I think it won a few Oscars.
Is that Winona Ryder that's on that?
Dude, I don't know, but
no, it's not Winona Ryder. It's that other one, Phoebe Cates. Is that her?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I debate over having my
and I
kid
haven't
watch
seen that
it.
movie in forever.
Yeah, you know what? A great movie I've been watching with my kiddo real quick is the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Oh yeah, that's a great movie.
Honestly, like
if you go back, that actually holds up. I'm glad I rewatched that with my kids. Yeah,
yeah. My son really, and even the sequels, like it's hokey, it's whatever, but they did everything practically. So the shrinking and everything, to my son, you could see his brain working, and obviously like, whoa, what the heck just happened? There's a big ant there. My son, and I can tell this story now because it's the cutest thing ever. Like, I love having him watch movies now that he's able to kind of like, drink them in a little bit. And last night when we watched it, I saw a tear come out when Auntie died.
Oh.
Spoiler alert: Auntie is trying to protect the kids in this wonderful classic with. Rick Moranis is not on his A level because he doesn't have a lot to do in this film, but there's a few parts, like when the cops come up to the door and he just tells his wife, it's the best 5 minutes in the movie, kind of this thing. He's telling his wife, I shrunk the kids, my machine, it's working. It's great. It's not so great. Why? Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And it's a great film. The thing about 80s stuff, since everything was done practically, we saw things like Little Monsters and gave us nightmares and were really weird, but I don't want to, I think I don't want to traumatize our kids. You never know what's going to keep you up late at night. So take all this with a grain of salt. That Auntie scene could be a little too much for your kid. Just, play it by ear. You know your children. Don't make me...
Ernest Scared Stupid is my favorite example of a funny 80s movie that still just gave me nightmares as a kid.
It's funny you bring that up because that's the same thing to me. And
it's such a funny movie.
What about Pee Wee Herman? I mean, come on.
Pee Wee Herman,
yes.
Holy cow, that clown scene. And then when the truck driver turns sideways.
The truck driver used to scare the crap out of
Yeah, and now you look at it and you're like, that's really cool claymation.
Yeah.
But no, I think every child that did it.
But I still loved him as a child. I knew it was going to give me nightmares, and I still...
Well, since we just got back from Universal Studios, the last couple of nights we've been watching E.T. with the kids. And you know the part in E.T. where his heart glows in his chest where it's supposed to be sweet and nice?
Oh,
That used to scare the bejesus out of me when I was a kid.
I could see that.
Because you don't understand why his heart's glowing as a 5-year-old kid or whatever.
Guts, man. I don't want to see.
Yeah, the heart thing freaked me out. But the scariest thing, I think, too, what's hilarious is the scariest part of that show was honestly the humans. The when they're coming out,
the G-men,
and when they're in the tent and they come up, it's funny. That scared me more in that movie than any other part. Or when he threw the ball in the shed, and he threw it back. And then I think I told you guys because in the movie they say the Pen 15. Everybody knows Pen 15, right? Write it on your hand, kids. Don't do that. He's like, be quiet, Pen 15, breath. And then, of course, we were watching that in school one day when the librarian was just like, forget it. And then she had to turn it off because we all laughed. And I've seen the movie before. I remember that line. And Spielberg put that in on purpose for shock value. Listen, kids, just know this. Your parents know. Don't ever join the Pen 15 club because you have to have an initiation that involves some ink written on your hand. That's all I'll say.
It's me, Mario.
All right, it is time for our Pop Hundo. Yeah, Pop Hundo is our top 100 personal list of all time. We're after this episode, we will get halfway through this. This has been a ton of fun where we go down 10 at a time through our favorite games of all time. And we encourage you guys to do it too. Send us an email about it like we already heard of just your favorite most nostalgic top 100 games. It's a ton of fun to put the list together and you guys have really enjoyed us going through this list knowing that in a couple years it'll change. It's still kind of fun putting it in order, that kind of thing. So Sean, without further ado, we are at what now? We're going from 60 to 51, is that right?
Yeah.
Yep.
60 to 51 top 100 of all time. Number 60, go.
Lost Odyssey on the Xbox 360.
Whoa.
One of those that I think it shows up on a lot of hidden gems lists to the point where it doesn't really feel like a hidden gem or anything, but it's a good little RPG on the Xbox 360. And I didn't have a lot of games on the Xbox 360. I don't anticipate seeing many more on this list, I don't think. Number 59, I'm going to pick Knuckles, Sonic and Knuckles for the Sega Genesis. Obviously, I'd love to pick both, right? Give me Sonic and Knuckles and 3, but if you hold your head to the fire, or hold your hands over the fire, or whatever, I'll pick Knuckles because at least then I got the cartridge so I can go play 2 or 3 later. And, you finally got to climb.
Lock-on technology.
Yeah, lock-on
technology. It was revolutionary.
And I always thought it was funny, it was lock-on technology, and he was locking onto walls and climbing up them and stuff. I can't believe to this day that they made a game with Knuckles in it that also worked with Sonic 2. That's still impressive to me. Number 58, I do have Super Mario Odyssey. Number 57, Champions Return to Arms. That's on the PlayStation 2. Diablo-like, I think is how I'm going to describe it, but just in kind of that high fantasy Dungeons and Dragons setting instead of the sort of Hellscape Diablo setting. Number 56, this one is my favorite one to talk about today. Madden 08, but specifically on the PC, emulating the PS2 version. There's a mod community out there that keeps this one up to date.
Can modernize it, yeah.
This one is traditionally known among, I would say folks around our age, football players around our age, as like the best football game of that era. You go a little farther, you get more complex, you get kind of longer, more detailed animations that look nice, but they make things feel more deliberate. This one still has kind of a crisper, fast pace to it. It looks great on the PS2, looks horrible on the PS3. It was clearly made with the PS2 in mind. And there's a great modding community. They do a wonderful job updating coaches and rosters every year. So if you're into that kind of thing, emulate this on the PC, and it's totally free and very well supported. Number 55 is Batman Returns on the Super Nintendo, which is, I'm going to mess this up, I think it's Final Fight, basically, the other Konami one, just in the Batman wrapper.
It has the most satisfying punch sound.
Oh, it does.
And Christmas themed. Love it.
Yeah,
it is a Christmas
sprites.
Game. Like the massive sprites.
Yeah, sprites of that game are enormous.
I would say this is the first time where you really feel like Batman in a video game, because you really are just using your fist and your utility belt items. It feels good to punch. It feels good to sweep your cape. And you're not just shooting people with a gun like you are in Game Boy Batman, or gosh, he even has a gun in the NES Batman in one of them. So this one you actually feel like, but you're just beating up bad guys and scrolling through levels, and it's a lot of fun. That's Super Nintendo. Number 54, Mega Man 4 NES. I feel like 3 and 4 dialed in the difficulty in a good way. And the difference for me really is, I don't know that it's a better game than 3, for example, but you get the dog and the slide. I think slide is 3, dog is 4. And so that one is 1. And I didn't even play that until later. I played it on one of their legacy collections in like 2012 on the PS2 is when I got that. Number 53, Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories on the PSP. That was one of my first PSP games.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. That
possibly the best gaming soundtracks of all time.
Yeah, and they had that come out on the PS2, and it's okay, but not as good as it is on the PSP. But you can play it on the PSP2 if you are able to.
Remind me, is the PSP missing some of the soundtrack? Is that part of the catch too? And then also, it's just, it's a PSP game.
I don't remember. I actually played it on both back in the day, but I honestly don't remember. I would assume the PSP version is probably nerfed in some way, so it makes sense.
It started on the PSP first, and then
correct, and then it went over. But it wouldn't surprise me if you had a more complete soundtrack though on PlayStation. But I'm not sure.
And I think on the PS2, I don't want to say super expensive, but I think it's a little pricier or a little less common, whereas on the PSP, I think it's pretty reasonable.
Oh yeah, everybody that had a PSP bought that game.
Absolutely, and it's just a great game on the handheld. Number 52, Legend of Zelda: Link Between Worlds. That's the 3DS one.
That's a really good game.
I mean, it was Link to the Past, but on the 3DS, and I liked Zelda in with 2 screens. There's a lot of good that comes out of RPGs having a second screen, in my opinion. And speak of the devil, 51, I have Dragon Quest 6 for the DS. Dragon Quest 6. And that is...
Tell us why 6. I'm going to entertain me because I don't know anything about anything. You could have said Dragon Quest anything, and I wouldn't know a dang thing about the difference. Tell us why 6 is so much better than 5.
Well... I can't spoil it, but 5's not on the list yet.
He said I can't spoil it. Seriously, guys, that's how nerdy we are. I love it. Don't stay that way forever, Sean, but you literally, I can't spoil it.
When I say I can't spoil it, I mean I'm about to spoil it. No, 5 is superior. 6 is a great story, and again, it's just the JRPGs and RPGs work really well on the DS, and it's got kind of a heartfelt story. It's still Dragon Quest, which if you're familiar with Dragon Quest, there's always like a lot of campiness, goofiness to the story and things, but this one and 4, 5, and 6 both kind of hit the heartstrings just a little bit, and it's a very plain, in a classic way, JRPG that plays really well.
Awesome.
That's my number 51. So I think I'm done.
All right, go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, I'll jump in at my first pick, which is Uncharted 4.
Nice.
And
so that's still yet to be revealed, but I might have that.
Yeah, I mean, I struggle
game.
where to put the Uncharted games, honestly, because they're all so good. And but Uncharted 4 is a really good kind of recap and synopsis and sort of pulling together of the 3 games that came before it.
Beautiful too. It sounds stupid to say that, but like
it really is a beautiful game.
Yeah, my wife watched the cinematic movies on us together. It's so good.
Yeah, but, it's just if you ever get the chance to play it like full HD, HDR, and you know, I still think this is like the best looking game, you know, or at least in the top 3 or 4 best looking games I've ever played. My next game is dipping back to the NES, and that is Bubble Bobble.
Oh, great one.
And I love Bubble Bobble. I love the songs in it.
Yeah.
I like the colors. I like the way that it plays.
I've already got the song stuck in my head now.
Yeah, I remember my friend and I rented this when I was a kid, and it was one that neither one of us ever owned, but we rented multiple times and just played it, you know, all night long, all day long, you know, when we had it. And I remember just being mind blown that it had like 100 levels, and it also had like a password system and stuff where you could go back to the level where you were, and we'd write all of our passwords down, and we would remember the levels that we really liked, and we would go back and play those levels specifically again, you know, time after time. And we would try to beat high scores, and just easy pick-up play, arcade classic, you know, Taito kind of stuff. Like, you just don't, just really good stuff. My next pick is Blast Cores for the N64. And this is kind of, I mean, I would have said a few years ago this was something people would have called it sort of a hidden gem. It's probably a little bit maybe more known to people in N64 crowds now. But I remember this was a game that was made by Rare. This was kind of back when Rare was really in its prime, when it was doing things like GoldenEye, you know, Banjo-Kazooie and that kind of stuff. But there was this oddball game that came out on N64 called Blast Cores, where there's a runaway nuclear missile, and it's a nuclear missile on a truck. And so you have to get everything out of the way of the truck so that it doesn't explode. So there's robots you use to destroy things, dump trucks, you know, bulldozers, all this kind. So me, when I was, you know, a kid and this came out, like, oh, I get to control construction equipment and demolish things with a purpose, and it's just dumb. But you could tell that the guys that made this game were just going to make the funnest, dumbest game they could, and that's what it is. It's the funnest, dumbest game on the N64. Sonic 2 is my next pick for the Genesis. We got it. My friend got it. It was the pack-in when he got his Genesis, so we played it a lot. The music in it, how fast it ran, it was just a really, really fun game, and it was the first game on a console that wasn't a Nintendo console where I was like, whoa, there's really good stuff in other places.
Yep.
You know, just a lot of nostalgia for that game in particular. My next pick is Metal Slug X, which is Metal Slug 2, but it's just the more refined version of Metal Slug 2. It's all the Metal Slugs are good, and they're all really worth playing. They're all basically the same game, but Metal Slug 2 is just the right length. It just has the really good pacing. It's a very, really hard action run and gun arcade shooter for Neo Geo. It's been released a bunch of other places, but it's hard, but it's like Contra. It's really difficult, but it's fair. So you can't go wrong. My next pick is Mario Kart 8 of Wii U and Switch fame. Honestly, if you only had a single Mario Kart game, there's others I have more nostalgia for, but if you pick a single Mario Kart game, this really is the best one. Yeah. It's got a zillion tracks in it. The DLC is actually super good in it.
I've said before, I don't really play a lot of the new Mario Karts, but recently, randomly, I've been playing through them because I've had a little bit of time here and there. And you're right, there's so many tracks in this game.
Oh, yeah. It's just...
And I love they've got like 2 F-Zero tracks. I didn't know that. And when I got to Big Blue or whatever, I was like,
it's not perfect, but it's just a ton of fun to play. But that's Mario Kart 8. My next one is R-Type, specifically the Super Nintendo version, because that's the one I had as a kid.
Oh, yeah.
Lots of slowdown, thus making it a little easier to play.
It's built-in cheat code.
It's bananas hard. I mean, just so difficult. But this is by far the most difficult game I had as a kid, at least for the Super Nintendo. But I remember I played it until I actually got good at it and could really get far in it. I don't know that I ever beat it without the cheat code, but I could get real close, and that's saying something because it is a really difficult game. I'm sure there's people that are better than me, but as a kid, I was always really proud about how good I was at R-Type versus everybody else. All right, so my next pick, another N64 classic, and a few years ago I would have put this higher up, but that's Zelda Ocarina of Time.
Oh yeah.
At the time, I would have put this very, very high on my list. But as time's gone on, as I've played other Zelda games, and this is purely for nostalgia, it's not my favorite Zelda game anymore. But at the time, it was really impressive, and it was really kind of groundbreaking and, sort of
first
pivotal.
perfect 10.
Yeah,
Ocarina
I mean,
of Time was like...
I mean, most of everything about Ocarina has already been said. But at the time, this is a game that actually took me a while to really get into it. I played it when it originally came out, and then I kind of gave up on it, and then I came back to it, and then I kind of gave up on it, and it actually took me like a year to beat this game the first time I bought it, because I kind of kept getting burnt out on it for whatever reason, and then coming back. But I still have a lot of nostalgia for it. It's still a great game. There'll be other Zelda games on this list, but if I had to go back and play back through it now, it's not the one I would pick to.
No, they need to retool it for sure.
But so there's that. I'm going to keep it with the N64 kick right now, and my next pick's going to be for Cruising USA.
Okay.
And this is a dumb pick. It's not.
No, it's not. I mean,
but there's a lot of nostalgia around this, and a lot of this comes from the arcade. We had a Celebration Station, Cruising USA. My first experience with it was before N64 came out, when they had the Ultra 64 rotating Nintendo logo, where it said "Coming to Ultra 64" was on the arcade machine. And I was so hyped, for the Ultra 64, back in the day. But I just like it. It's a childhood favorite. And then my next pick is going to be Castlevania Rondo of Blood for PC Engine CD.
Okay.
This is sort of the pinnacle of the pre-Metroidvania Castlevania games, if that makes sense. And it's actually my favorite Castlevania game of all the Castlevania games. The music in it's great. It's difficult, but it's fair. It's not so brutally difficult as some of the, like the early NES games. It doesn't make you hate. I mean, it kind of makes you hate yourself, but not like Castlevania 1 does. But the bosses in it are cool. It's got cool animated scenes, and really, it's the music. Like
the opening animated scene is one of my favorite memories from that. It's so cool where you're riding along on the carriage in the full moon.
Yeah, everything about this game is just cool. I mean, it's just a cool game, and it was sort of the refinement of 8-bit, 16-bit Castlevania experience before they started branching out and doing all the Metroidvania stuff with the Castlevania games. So that's the end of my picks.
Awesome. Great picks. I love that we're getting in the meat and potatoes of our picks here. Like, we've had a lot of eclectic things, and now it's kind of showing, our favorites. So this list I've got, all right, 60 to 51. Let's just get started with a real stupid one here. Number 60, Super High Impact Football, the arcade game. This was a precursor to NFL Blitz. If you like NFL Blitz, find out the grandpa game here. It's like Team Africa versus Europa. Randomly, they have Kansas City, Miami. I own this arcade. This was my first actual arcade I bought when I was like 25. Unfortunately, I sold it, but for the best, because it was a huge arcade. You could still play it nowadays. You can emulate it. It's so stupid. Early 90s. It's left and right, but it's basically early NFL Blitz. NFL Blitz is a much superior game, but this one has a lot of nostalgia for me. So check it out if you're into stupid sports games that are a lot of fun. Next, number 59 is Gex 2, Enter the Gecko for PS1. Wow. I would probably actually have this higher if it wasn't the fact that there's much better platformers out there.
It's uncontrollable.
You know what? I got good at it. It's that thing where I got good. It hit me at the right age. I love this game. 3D platformer that has a lot of specific late 90s humor in it.
Oh, yes.
That has things from Friends and Seinfeld, things that are off color. There was Dana Carvey or something was the comedian that voices Gex. He's, it's one of those where it's like Sonic and the lady that he's trying to save is an actual woman. It's so stupid, but I think it's a ton of fun. And if you ever watch a playthrough of it, and I love the like haunted episode and everything, so a lot of nostalgia for it. Played it, let me know. I love the game. It's so stupid. Next game, I have Ken Griffey Major League Baseball for the Super Nintendo. This is a wonderful game. This was my overnight game. I could just say I remember I went to a friend's house and we played it late at night a bunch when we had sleepovers. Tons of fun. You can add rosters to it. Still to this day plays amazing. It's kind of like Baseball Stars for whatever. Ken Griffey Jr. for the Super Nintendo. One of the best baseball games you can ever play. The feel is amazing, and definitely check it out.
It's still the baseball game that I go back to, personally.
Oh, yeah. I mean, just thinking about it, I can feel the crack of the bat. And it's an arcade game, but it's also a sim game, punishing and, like, fun. It feels like you're playing foosball in real life. It's kind of got real good action to it. Love it.
Put it down for a long time, and I go back. I don't have a ton of struggle picking it back up.
All right, next one. The only Need for Speed I have on here, Need for Speed 3 Hot Pursuit for the PS1. You can feel the nostalgia in this list, folks. One of my first Need for Speed games. It's really cool. It had CD, like, it had the actual cars. It had, like, a showcase for them, pre-Gran Turismo, or at least, like, you're running from the cops, and the graphics kind of don't hold up, but it has this great kind of weird techno soundtrack that's new age, and it felt like really polished. And this is back when racing games weren't arcadey and before they ever tried to be polished in a realistic way. The early Need for Speed games for PS1, there's kind of a cult following for them, and they were really AAA titles for the time and super popular. But Need for Speed 3 Hot Pursuit holds a special place in my heart. I have 2, 3, and 4, and for the PS1, they are great.
A lot of Need for Speed on 3DO back in the day.
Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the soundtrack for this game, I will find it on YouTube, and it brings me right back to, like, 1997. It's bizarre how that works. But, all right, next game. This is a random one. Haunted Mansion for the original Xbox. Yes, Haunted Mansion, like the new movie that's coming out, I guess, and it was a kind of a movie tie-in for that terrible Eddie Murphy movie, but it has nothing to do with Eddie Murphy. This has its own, it's kind of like a horror game that's okay for kids. It basically, just like the ride, is kind of like a horror, like barely okay for kids. This game is as well. It's really well done. It's a third-person action puzzler. I think it's for Xbox, PS1 as well. Disney game technically, but it's spooky. But I'm a wimp, and it's kind of that awesome, like, funhouse spooky without, like, someone actually scaring the crap out of you and chasing you with a chainsaw. It's like that. So it plays really well. Fun game. Randomly never gets talked about, so I feel like it's kind of a buried treasure of a game, but I really love it. In my top 100. I like it more than, say, Medieval, if you know that game. It's in the same vein as that, but I think way more polished. Next game, Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 for the Dreamcast. I mean, not going to talk much about it. If you know about this game, you know about this game. The soundtrack, the writers, nostalgia heavy. They remade it recently. I didn't even need to play the remake because I just feel like the original is still so good. Nothing against it, but Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, amazing game. Next one, you know it was coming. Eternal Champions for the Sega CD. That's right. That game that not many people like, but I just loved.
When we first described Pop Hundo, I thought, yeah, I can't wait for Eternal Champions on the Sega CD to show up on our lists.
Yeah. You know, the Mortal Kombat, was the big king, and everybody talks about it. But Eternal Champions with the stage fatalities are just awesome. If you have a chance, you don't know what we're talking about, just check it out. I love the characters. I thought they were really unique and interesting. A lot of the people who review this game say the exact opposite, that they're not original. But the vibe of this game, just VIBE, the vibe of this game at the time was like none other. Felt kind of mature as a kid playing it, but I love that game and brings back great nostalgia.
If you don't mind, what does the CD add? I've only ever played the Genesis version. Does it add some flavor?
Yeah, new characters, better soundtrack, and I think options for more stage fatalities. Yeah.
Oh, nice. So the good stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, like honestly, it is a great upgrade to the original.
Especially the sound. The sound is a lot.
That makes sense.
All right, 53. We got 3 left. 53. Gladiator Begins for the PSP. I talked about this in a Handheld Holla. This is an awesome PlayStation game, PSP game. It's one of my favorite, definitely top 3 PSP games ever. It only came out for the PSP. If you've ever heard of Classic Game Room, he does a review of this and he had a lot of reverie for it. And I found that when he goes a real extra for a game, you just get into it. It's kind of like it's a role-playing game without being role-playing as far as you building up your level character, and it's tons of fun. You're basically a gladiator going in one-on-one combat with other people. It's very deep, nuanced, really like one more match type of game. And if you're into, say, wrestling games, or you're into not so much even into fighters, it's not a fighting game. It's kind of like a 3D kind of battle game, and you can drop, you can come in and have some health ahead of time. You can do some cheats. You can throw weapons. It's amazing game, and I encourage you to like try to find it and check it out. Gladiator Begins for the PSP. Next, all right, Wii Sports for the Wii, the original Wii Sports. Not going to talk much about this. This should be top 100. Everybody loved this. Wii Bowling, you know about Wii Sports, but Wii Sports, love it. Has to be on my list somewhere. I kind of put it right smack dab in the middle because it is amazing, but also it's Wii Sports. There's something about the vanilla flavor of it, even though it was mind-boggling. And the new one, I played once, can't get into it. It's the original for me.
Same.
The new one's probably technically better, but all it made me do was feel nostalgic for the original. I want to play the original one.
Not having to release the button when you bowl ruins it for me.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, it took me a while to get used to it.
Isn't that
what?
weird?
Yeah. I wish they would have a way to go back and do that. But
why
anyway,
would they change that?
Wii Sports is my 52 and 51. Die Hard Trilogy for the Sega Saturn. I love
the trilogy.
Nice.
Yeah, I love Die Hard Trilogy. I remember renting this, thinking it was unbelievable to have 3 games in one. It felt like it, even though now it's kind of like 3 borderline games. You have a first-person shooter as Die Hard 2. You have a third-person driving game, a la Driver or Need for Speed in Die Hard with a Vengeance. And the original Die Hard is a really poorly controlled first-person or third-person action game that you make your way up Nakatomi Tower floor by floor. And you have to kill all the guys on a floor to then move up to the next floor and get on the elevator. And there's broken glass. It's a bizarre game, but I loved the fact that they say on the cover 3 games in one and 3 completely different games. It must have cost a lot of money to put this one together. It plays a little better on the PS1, but I have the nostalgia for the third. You can get both of them. It's an inexpensive game. It's really cool. The third game, you're a taxi and you're trying to blow up bombs in the city like the movie, except the way you blow them up is you literally just have to drive into them. So you're just driving through
that
the
old
city.
shtick.
Yeah, you're just driving through the city, and it basically you have a map, and you're going to have to determine left, right, and then when you run into it, it kind of blows up, and you get to move on. And there's some voice clips of Bruce Willis, which now, unfortunately, he has aphasia and temporal dementia, so we're not going to hear him talking very much anymore, so it's kind of cool to have him talking in this game because I don't think he did a lot. He had another game called One for the PS1. It was literally called ONE1, where he voiced the protagonist in that as well. But for the most part, Bruce Willis kind of hasn't done video gamey stuff except for a 3-year period in the 90s, and it included this game where he lended his voice. It's just quips like yippee-ki-yay, what? You get little stuff. Probably he's only got 50 words in the whole thing. But it's kind of cool. And Die Hard Trilogy is my number 51. All right, guys. But before we wrap this up, I want to give you another reminder. March 11th, March 12th, come to the All-in-One Gaming Expo in Olathe, Kansas. Come see us, hang out. Remember, we're going to have our panel. Our panel specifically, what time is it?
1:30.
Sunday 1:30 on Sunday.
Yeah.
Sunday, March 12th.
Yeah, and Norm, the gaming historian, will have his Saturday. There's going to be a bunch of other panels, esports. There's a movie podcast, Do You Nerd, a bunch of other little panels to check out. There's also going to be food trucks. Come on. These guys are going all out. Food trucks. So you can show up, kids free coming out, and food trucks are amazing.
I love food. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, some tacos, something like that, huh?
Trucks that bring food to you. Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
No, I mean, it's raining tacos.
It is
right?
It's raining tacos.
Do you guys
My
know
new
this?
favorite
Anybody
song.
who has kids has to know it's raining tacos.
It's the worst thing ever.
It's about. I don't know. Do you know what's even better? I like the what's the other one? Breakfast burrito. Have you heard that one?
No.
That one's pretty good. Who knows? I'm editing this, and you know what? Kids are gonna love it. That's one thing. We appreciate everybody who listens, and also the kids who randomly, when you tell us, you and your kids listen to this, amazing. If that brings you guys together, or if they're just sitting in the back seat and they're rolling their eyes, they might get a treat at the end of this podcast. Who knows? We might have to pay some sponsors, some extra sponsors. But if you like a breakfast burrito, are you guys breakfast burrito fans?
Absolutely.
For my birthday, I went out. Breakfast places. There's a place called the Shack here. I really like that place. It's got great freaking breakfast.
Smothered and covered.
Oh yeah, B's and G's. You like a good B and G? Biscuits and gravy?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm a big B&G fan. If I'm going to have anything savory.
I've never shortened it before. I like that. That's catchy.
What you need to get is the French fries there with the Jersey Girl treatment.
With the what? Jersey Girl
treatment.
I don't think my wife's going to be okay with that.
My wife wasn't either, but it turns out Jersey Girl treatment is just like brown gravy on the French fries, so it's sort of like poutine.
I gotcha. Okay.
And
dude, there's a lot of funny that menu.
It's really good.
The menu is hilarious. There's one of them that says, "Please, Dad, don't wear the Affliction T-shirt burrito." That's literally the name of it.
Yeah, all the names of all the dishes are kind of like that.
Yeah, or if you want to fling, like they have different pancakes, and they're like, if you want, figure out if you don't want a commitment and you want to fling, ask us what our monthly fling is, and they make up a it's really funny.
Yeah, they have
dad humor through and through.
Yeah, one of the menu items is why the French hate us, and it's a split croissant covered in like ground sausage and gravy and cheese.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, it's so stupid.
And there's a little American flag planted in it.
Probably, yeah. I mean, but
hey, at least we shower. You know what I'm saying? Come at me, France.
Yeah, but like everything on the menu.
Are you trying to say France needs Renewsits?
Yeah,
is that what you're trying to say?
I think that's what they use. They take Renewsits and they put it under each arm. And then it gets stuck there because all the hair. Oh my God, we lost all our France listeners. You do not listen to this video game, Dad, anymore. You are done. You are dead to me. All right, guys, thanks so much for listening to episode 69. Again, we seriously appreciate it. Send us some emails at videogamedads.com. Thank you, bearing with us. We're not a regular podcast like we know you love every week, but hey, we're pumping one out real quick for you guys. So come see us, All in One Gaming. We're going to be there. If you can't make it, we know you're going to be there in spirit. But if you're close enough, come out. It'll be fun. If you can make it one day or the other, that'd be awesome. So, all right, guys, I think we're going to sign off. What do you think? Episode 69?
It's in the books.
In the books?
Oh, yeah. Nice book there. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, yeah. It's in the books. 69 in the books.
All right, thanks.
with your morning time beans, all right. Breakfast burrito, when I'm lying in bed, well, I think about